the characters. Just the character. Chunin Exams. I mean...
That was life-changing stuff.
That was life-changing stuff. It's going to sound ridiculous, but like, I'm dead serious. Like,
was.
Naruto was like a life-changing experience for me. Well, hello, and welcome back to Gateway to Anime. How are you all? What's going on? We are the podcast where we bring you the best new anime as well as deep dive into the classics. I, as always, am your host, Sam, and I'm joined by my sister, Charlie. Charlie, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. Excited to talk about one of the GOATs, one of the best, one of the gateway animes, I think, for a lot of people. So keen to get into that. But we have a guest with us here today who I'm excited to see. Sam, you want to introduce our guest?
Well, we have joining us once again. Now, one of our most returning guests now. It's getting up there, my friend. We have Alex Williams, actor, voiceover artist, and podcaster, with whom I also do another podcast about AFL football. I'm sure most of you American people have no idea what that means, but that's okay. Alex, how are you today, my friend? Welcome back.
I'm good. And I'm very excited to be talking about Naruto today. This was a big one for me growing up. This is kind of my entry into like, all right, I'm watching anime now. It's not what's being fed to me from Cheese TV, from, online. It's what I'm going and searching out. It's the first show that made me want to go and read manga as well. So it's, one close to the heart.
Well, that's exactly right. And the reason we're talking about this is because Netflix has just released its mid-year data in 2025. I mean, about a week or so now at the time of this recording. But basically, it has shown us that Charlotte's claim of it being the GOAT is not far from the truth. Now, before you One Piece people come for me, hold up. The reason I'm saying this is because for the first half of 2025, the number one anime streaming on Netflix in the West, important caveat, is Naruto, specifically Naruto Shippuden. So we thought, you know what? We just did a One Piece episode, which we loved. And thank you to Tristan, our wonderful guest, and to all of you in the comments, because you've really, really gotten Charlie and I tempted to start that watch from the start.
I went home after recording that episode and started watching it again.
Yeah.
I was deeply inspired by Tristan's passionate One Piece thing. So, I hope that it got some other people into One Piece as well. Because if One Piece needs more things, it's more fans, I feel.
That's it. 570 million copies is not enough copies sold. So
nothing in the 20 years of watching anime has made me want to watch One Piece even once.
It's crazy, man.
I'm just not really interested in it. But I'm going to go back and listen to that one again because maybe that's what I need. Or maybe I just need
we missed the boat, you know what I mean? And we'll talk about this.
Pun intended.
Yeah. So also before we dive into this, I will say there will be spoilers in this episode. We'll try and flag them before they come up for respect, but you're forewarned right now. There will be spoilers because this show finished 10 years ago, and we, of course, are wanting to get new people to watch this, but this one is mostly for the fans like we are. So, just wanted to get that out of the way first before you come for us in the comments. And anyway.
We'll warn you, though. We'll warn you. So, if you still are new, then feel free to listen, but we will give you plenty of warning.
We will warn you before they come. Now, before we dive deep into this, because we're going to dive deep, okay? This is something so close to all of our hearts, but I want to thank this episode's sponsor, and that is Hobbyco. Now, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you can see some insanely cool figurines that we have been gifted for this very episode. Thank you to our friends at Hobbyco, as always. Tamashii Nation's here in the middle. We've got some Bon Presto at the back here. It looks absolutely awesome, and we'll be back later in the episode to tell you more about Hobbyco and what they do, because, hey, Australia's oldest hobby shop. Get around them. And from now until the end of September, all you Gateway fans can use the code Naruto10, one word, to get 10% off your online orders from Hobbyco. So, Naruto. Okay. It's so interesting to me that this show is still number one. So just for the numbers, let's do the numbers. So it's only just ahead of Studio Ghibli on Netflix. That's just Netflix. I'm not counting Crunchyroll numbers here. I haven't got those yet. But Naruto Shippuden, 40 million streams. Yeah. Studio Ghibli, 39. Now
that's close.
Yep. Interesting as well. Detective Conan.
Oh, yeah.
38 million. I think you'd probably say a fair bit of that's probably coming from Japan and Asia. Pokemon, 38 million. Yeah. Shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. And bringing up fifth spot is, of course, One Piece. So We've got some pretty heavy hitters in there.
I'm so surprised that Naruto Shippuden is one.
Yeah.
That's genuinely, when you told me that, when you were like, because I was kind of like wanting to do a Naruto episode because I love it. I want to talk about it. It's one that's really close to my heart as well. But I was like, how do we make it like relevant? Then I was like, oh, never mind. Looks like all of you are still out here championing that ninja like we are too. So it's still number one. That's insane.
I also think with these numbers, like when you say Pokemon, I think about the parent numbers as well.
Yes.
Like the numbers where, you know, it's Bluey or something like that. And the parents are just putting on episode after episode after episode for their kids while they're, you know, napping or doing whatever it is they're doing. You know, I'm not sure that, you know, they're watching Gaara and Rock Lee Fly. You know, I don't think Naruto's getting any of those parent numbers, I'm going to call them. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, particularly Shippuden, which is darker of it, and like older times.
you need to have
It's not
watched.
even at the start. So yeah, it's not even like we've got people who are like fans who've watched the first bit of Naruto and they have come in for Shippuden. So it's like, yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, so I want to start this by firstly going into our backstories. Now, for those of you who are the older fans of this show, you probably know Charlie and my backstory, but because I'm guessing quite a few new fans will be coming into this episode, we will, of course, tell you how Charlie and I came across this. But before we get into our story, Alex, how did you find, you briefly mentioned at the start, so you sought this. It wasn't like something on Cheese TV. Those of you in America, Cheese TV was an early morning TV show in the 90s, which was one of the first times many young millennials were exposed to anime. We had Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, later Naruto, Bleach. No, Bleach, sorry. One Piece. But we also had Sailor Moon, which was also an Agru's Cartoon Connection, if you remember back as well, which actually started before Cheese TV. I know this because I'm doing a master's degree about this entire
Was
history.
Sailor Moon on Cartoon Connection?
Yes, it was. Not as long. It was also on Cheese TV, but it was also on Cartoon Connection along with Robotech. Anyway, interestingly.
Robotech.
yes.
That takes me back.
That's a remake of Makuros. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about my thesis now, but what is very interesting about this is so many of us were exposed to anime before we even really knew that it was anime. You know what I mean? I had no real conception that Pokemon was Japanese. You know what I mean? When I was 12 or 10 or whatever I was. So Naruto actually was probably the first time I realized I was watching anime. But Al, why don't you tell us your backstory? Because I'm fascinated to hear how you came across the wonderful world of Naruto.
Well, the same as you, I sort of had, you know, Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon early on. Didn't really associate them with being Japanese at that time because the dubs and, you know, just didn't think about it. It was the SBS kind of Bubblegum Crisis and Neon Genesis that really got me in.
Yep. And
I think I think I watched Neon Genesis and then that kind of really, you know, pushed me into you know, seeking out anime and those at school who were, you know, also watching it. Then I got on to Naruto. Now, I remember it because it was given to me in a clear, unmarked plastic, you know.
Me too. The VCDs.
It's kind of case. And I remember there was the minus and the plus, and depending on whether, you know, which type of DVD it was, disc it was back in the day, it would either play on your DVD or, you know, player or your computer, or it wouldn't. So, and at that time as well, our laptops had like, some of them had discs, and some of them you had to have an external disc.
Oh, wow.
You know, reader. So I remember getting the first one, and I reckon it could fit maybe 4 eps max on it.
About right.
It was like a black market library system at school. There was a locker, you know, that people had the code, you put it in, you take it out. And
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We weren't messing around.
I love how everyone was such secret anime fans back then. It was like no one
had to
knows.
be.
Like
You had to be back, but you don't understand.
Kids don't get it, man.
get it.
No, so then I remember watching it and being like, what is this? This, you know, the world build immediately for me was just incredible. I think at the time I was like doing martial arts as well. So I was just like, I was just lapping this stuff up, man. I was loving it. I was loving it. And so I got really into it, you know, basically from that point.
Yep.
And would get really frustrated with the filler episodes because I'm like, I don't have time for this.
Yes, of course.
The world doesn't have time for this.
No.
But, you know, I got really into it. And then later on, I think we got onto, you know, having, you know, proper USB drives and all that kind of stuff. And I think it was the first time I like went into the city looking for the store that would sell me the manga and all that kind of stuff that I could kind of like keep going.
In Perth, of course.
In Perth, that's right. So, that was my kind of first And as I was sort of saying to you the other day, a big part of it for me, going back and having a look, is like the music is so, at the time, was so immersive and just got me into it in a really, I'd never heard that like those sounds and that kind of music.
Yep.
And having gone to Japan recently and seeing some theater over there and not understanding the connection of how they, they were using all of these sounds and instruments that they use in theater there.
Which version of theater was it? Kabuki?
Yeah, Kabuki.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where they actually have, the band on the side are kind of part of they're in musical theater and opera, you have your chorus, and that's essentially them. They kind of tell you what's happening at the same time, sort of narrating it in a way. And I feel like it's not narrato, but it's terrible stuff early. But it really did. I went, this makes sense. I can imagine the layers if you were Japanese watching it, with that sort of stuff. It would tell you so much more about the plot and what was coming.
Yes.
And I actually went back and watched the first episode yesterday because I haven't seen it in so long, because I wanted to kind of, and I'll get your thoughts on this, but do you think if you watched the first episode of Naruto today and you'd never seen it, you would be as invested, or it would get you, I guess is the question. Would it get you to watch the rest of it?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, yes. I know that, like, obviously, in terms of, like, things have dated in terms of animation and pacing and that kind of thing, but I actually kind of still like the art style. I think it still looks good to me for my eye. And I think I would have been into it because I'm a sucker for, like, any kind of, like, demon sealed inside someone, big fox energy. So that's why I would have taken. But I see what you're saying. It's like maybe I got into it when I was in year 9. So like I was 13, 14.
Yeah.
Probably prime Naruto watching time.
Yep.
But I don't know. I've seen things that I think are just like poor imitations of Naruto now that I still love. So I reckon I'd still be in.
Yeah, except now it would be called like, I've been transported to a ninja world and I'm a giant frog.
Yeah.
Yes, the isekai version. Yes.
I will say, like, watching it, I was like, there's so much in that first episode that foreshadows a bunch of things coming. Like when he's running across the trees, you think of them, hands behind their back. But in that first episode, he's bouncing like a frog across the trees. He's doing a bunch of, it was a really good watch. I implore you to go and do it.
The first, like, the thing that I can remember vividly is like, I think the opening shot is the fox with Kurama, but it's like got that amazing musical like it's like the what's that instrument called, the biwa or the like,
biwa, or the shakuhachi.
Biwa. Does that like and then it's all in the war and you're like whoa, like it's like completely iconic.
It is
iconic first episode.
And the music, you're right, is incredible because it was done by a rock band, but who deliberately utilized classical Japanese instruments like the biwa and the shakuhachi and whatnot, and the flute and all of those sorts of things. And like that is why it sounds so deliberately like, I guess, Japanese. You know what I mean? And as we said before, like it's the first time we had really encountered that as teenage, even earlier fans in the 90s and early 2000s in Australia. So the idea of like something being Japanese was foreign to us until then. And I think it was a very genius decision. And in fact, it's something that I'll get to in a minute because there's an interesting theory here because, of course, if we're going to talk about Naruto, we have to talk about the big 3 and how important they are. So if anyone doesn't understand what I'm saying here, the big 3 were 3 mangas that came out around the same time in the late 90s. We had One Piece, obviously, the biggest of the big 3, Naruto, and Bleach, of course. So what's interesting here is obviously One Piece, the biggest manga series of all time, obviously, but didn't have the same impact in the West as Naruto did. Even to this day now, I think obviously One Piece is catching up because it's still going and it's like actually somehow because of the live action, I think it's a big part of it. It's becoming bigger and bigger. I know a lot of kids nowadays are watching One Piece.
People have a lot of respect for the storytelling of One Piece as well.
Absolutely.
And that's like kind of a bit more than Naruto's, I'd say. Like,
look, it's an interesting question because I think we can talk later on about how Naruto Shippuden ended. And, the answer is not necessarily that great. But like at the same time, as you said, when I first saw it, it just blew my mind. And going back to your first episode question, compare that to Bleach or One Piece. Naruto's is by far the best pilot.
It absolutely is.
One Piece's pilot sucks. I'm sorry.
I started Bleach, I've tried to start Bleach multiple times,
Yep.
and I really struggle with it.
Yeah.
And I tried One Piece because they were doing the live action one, so I watched a bit of that.
It's not a good part.
And it was really, they're sort of telling you what happens before rather than like Naruto really puts you in the world.
It does.
It goes macro, then it goes straight into the micro.
Yep.
And I kind of really enjoyed that even on another watch. I also think that the first, like the opening sequence song, I was like, God, it sounds like every Australian rock band from the 80s.
Rocks.
It sounds like In Excess.
It's so
I was like,
good.
it's unbelievable.
I wanna rock.
Yeah. I was like, hell yeah.
we're already at the theme songs.
I said to Sam, if you go back and listen, we had a Bleach episode, which I wasn't here for, thank God. Where basically just like evolved into Sam, Graham, and our guest Luke just literally yelling at each other, like just different Zanbakutos and things. And we were like, we're going to try and not do that. It's going to be very
We're trying hard now.
challenge because we all love this show so much. It means so much to us. So forgive us if we start just yelling different ninjutsus.
Yeah, if we digress, and we will, forgive us, please. It's coming from a place of passion. So yes, but what's interesting here to me is like, why was Naruto the one that was successful in the West, especially back in the day? Now, I'm not saying that One Piece wasn't, okay? So don't misrepresent what I'm saying here.
Well, I think we should reframe it as like, why is it still number one on
Yeah,
its own?
number one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's like, I don't think
also,
comparing it to one, I think they're both successful in their own ways.
That's
I
true,
feel.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think another reason that it was so appealing at the time and did so well, particularly in the West, is that like ninjas were very, very in that time. It
was a time.
We had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Samurai Pizza Cats. We had those games. What are they called? The ones you used to play all the time.
Tenshu was one, but then there was also Shinobi.
Yeah.
Which we called Shinobi. Tons of ninja games. Like, obviously before that, we've got Ninja Scroll. Very different and for a very
Slightly different audience.
Very different audience. But
I think, yeah.
I made the mistake of watching that around the same time.
Yeah, I
actually,
think
and
I
was
did
like,
too.
Go back.
So intense. Amazing movie. But Jesus, heavy stuff. There was a whole samurai thing as well, I guess. Like, I remember seeing Zatoichi around that same time, the blind swordsman, actually played by Kakashi from Takashi's Castle and
Oh, Takeshi Kitano.
Takeshi Kitano, filmmaker, extraordinary polymath.
Just one
essentially.
of the greatest careers ever.
Yeah.
Like, wow, look up Takeshi Kitano. if you get a
Yeah,
chance.
incredible. Director, host, actor. And actually he played Zatoichi and I believe directed it too. In 2000, I remember seeing that movie in like 2003. Again, that's samurai. It's a little bit different. But
Yeah,
just-
Samurai is different. But,
yeah,
like,
it's
huge for us in the 90s Power Rangers, which I think are like, I'd say.
Yeah. Adjacent,
very
for
Yeah.
sure.
adjacent, no question. Yeah, it was definitely a big time for ninja. the
So for
90s.
this to get like really into the weeds of like what ninja are and kind of all of the different kind of the weapons, the kunai,
Yep.
the stars, but kind of doing it in a more, I'd say, like
magic-y.
magic-y kind of element to it as
Yeah,
well was
yeah.
pretty cool. Like I always liked the kind of the camo kind of shirts and the gear that the
Jonins wear,
the
yep.
Jonins and the had, and then of course you had your bright antagonists with and protagonists with their kind of cooler.
Yeah,
I'm young
more
and I've got
gregarious.
kunai.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
No, it was definitely a big part of the reason I think it became so successful. I mean, like, there's no question that pirates are pretty much have always been kind of cool. Like, same with One Piece, you know what I mean? Like,
Pirates are out of vogue currently. They'll come back.
they are out of vogue, but in Pirates of the Caribbean in the early 2000s, like
That
it
was a big-
huge,
yeah.
huge deal.
That
Obviously, very different style, but like, I
Penzance.
think Pirates of Penzance. We're going right back.
Still
We're
going
going right
strong.
back. It never fails. A bit of GNS. I wasn't expecting a GNS quote today, but here we are.
What's next? What you got? Your pirates, ninjas. What's going to be the? You got superheroes. What's coming after that? Are we going to get a Zorro kind of
Oh, like a swashbuckling
Yeah.
type thing.
Soul
Yeah.
Reapers from Bleach.
cowboys,
Soul Reapers, Shinigami, Cowboys, yeah.
Cowboys.
westerns?
Yeah, there
Yeah.
hasn't really been I mean, Trigun's got an element
space
of Western
Western,
elements,
yeah.
space Westerns, but like, yeah, interesting. That's a good question. I mean, like, Jujutsu Kaisen's done an interesting thing with this power system, but totally unique and weird, but like more modern.
Yeah.
Probably takes more influence from Bleach than it does the other two, but it also definitely takes elements from Naruto as well with the power system and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know.
I think the best power system is actually Avatar.
A Last Airbender.
Yeah.
It's good.
Like
good shout.
it's just because like you can train it up and you have innate ability, but it is, it doesn't get out of control very often, except for
Yeah.
the chosen one.
yes.
You know,
yes.
there's a kind of connection with the spirit world and whatnot. But apart from that, it's not like it's mostly about skill, which I think is what they should have kept in Naruto for longer.
Agreed. The power system definitely got out of control.
I think it's clear that Avatar took a lot from Naruto though. Like
Yeah,
they've been so
100%.
influenced by it and got to like refine it to be even more kind of like, which is
More for a Western audience, which,
Yeah.
because it's made in the West.
best power system is alchemy, I think.
Ooh, or is it Nen from Hunter x Hunter?
I do love Nen, but alchemy makes sense. I mean,
Alchemy's
science.
amazing.
It's science, bitch. Let's see.
But interestingly, I found some quotes here from a website called Anime Hunch. And this was an interview with Kosuke Yahage, who is a Weekly Shonen Jump editor and who served as Naruto's main editor from chapter 1 to 402. So he knew his stuff.
Did a couple.
So he believes Naruto was more in demand in the West because One Piece required greater reading comprehension.
I mean, that's probably true.
Well, no, it gets more interesting. Before launching Naruto, Yahagi analyzed One Piece and noted that One Piece building its world more like an RPG, with each new arc introducing a fresh setting and clear objective and character development that propels the story forward. This structure, coupled with the intricate connections between characters and overarching themes, made the series multifaceted, which I think from anyone who knows anything about One Piece, no one can deny that at all. That's a big old fact. But he contrasts this with Naruto, explaining that while it contains drama, it leaned more on action and visual appeal, making it easier to grasp at a glance. I definitely agree with that. He also revealed Kishimoto admitted himself, obviously the author of Naruto, that competing with One Piece in terms of storytelling was nearly impossible. He was like, I'm not even going to bother with that, which led Naruto to focus on action and visual appeal instead. So Naruto actually had much more Hollywood-style narrative structure, which made it more palatable to Western audiences. That's what these Shonen Jump editors believe to be true. And I think when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Another editor, Matsuyama, compared One Piece to Kabuki, interesting that we said this before, and classic Yakuza films, describing its dramatic moments as theatrical and deeply resonant with Japanese audiences. In contrast, Naruto's straightforward progression aligned more with Hollywood narrative conventions, which he believes led to its international success.
It's very chosen one.
So
Like
we're a bunch of basic bitches.
Yeah. I just got so read by those editors from Shonen Jump. I'm just like, oh.
I
Never mind.
I don't mind it.
I kind of think the main reason I kind of prefer it and struggle to get into One Piece is I don't give a stuff about Luffy. I find him hard to connect with in any way, shape, or form.
It's interesting.
While I find Naruto's the way that he connects with other characters and him being this sort of empathy machine who can understand others and put himself in other people's shoes, no matter how hard they go against him, how much their morals change or are different, always brought me back to the core and him as a character kind of, yes, he is basic in the fact that, I want to be Hokage. But actually, he says that, but then actually all he really wants to be is someone's friend.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the thing and not necessarily people who want to be his friend, he just wants to do right by people because, he felt like people didn't do right by him. And I always felt like that drive for me was so much stronger and emotionally charged. Compared to like, this objective, that objective. I just felt like, the deaths and the fights in it had kind of more emotional charge in them than the like just trying to figure out how to beat this person, which One Piece can kind of feel like, okay, next one. To me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think One Piece does an incredible job of like the world build is just absolutely insane, but it does take like it's just absolutely incomparable in that way of just how much intricacy there is.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
in
it
terms
is.
of like getting what you get from Naruto so quickly, going back to that pilot episode, you get everything in one episode. You're like, but it's not getting shoved down your throat with exposition or anything like that, which is great because you have he graduates to school. So we're like, oh, school, see ya, we're done. Then he gets, we figure out his character, he steals the scroll, he learns the thing, and that's all done. And then we get to a bit of a slump for a little bit there. And then we go back up again with Zabuza. And that's when you really get that kind of like, I think for me that was such a huge, I said the slump, but that's including the Bell Trial, which is one of my favorite things ever. But that's like, I don't think that's, reinventing the wheel of anime, the Bell Trial, that kind of thing. But I think Zabuza and Haku, for me as a young child watching this show, realized that anime could be a whole lot more than just a fighting thing with some visuals. That the heart and the heartbreak that came along with that, and like the way that Naruto can really tug at your heartstrings so quickly, I think that's a perfect place to kind of talk about that.
100%. I completely agree with this. And interestingly, before we're saying about like the manga, Kishimoto was like, I'm not going to bother with the world building. I'm not going to do this. I can't do it, against Oda. But interestingly, so I found this on a Fandom Wire. In September 2024, Kishimoto and Ikimoto, who made Boruto before Kishimoto took back over.
A classic.
Alex, of course, has appeared. The last time Alex appeared with us, no, actually, that was 2 times ago. Alex has obviously was on here, convinced us to watch Boruto. That's how much this man likes the Naruto universe. So they were interviewed at an event called Naruto and Boruto, a night in Konoha in France, actually. So here was a quote.
Sounds like the best night.
I know. Why weren't
that
we
has ever
lit?
Like,
Dude, I was like, damn you, France.
A lot of frogs legs.
Very good. Very good. So this was a quote from Kishimoto. We do not change our way of doing things according to international success. Personally, I had heard little about the success of Naruto outside the borders of Japan, but I never measured its extent. The only time I took it into account was when the anime adaptation was launched, for which I chose an animator who could appeal more to foreigners. Now, I find this very interesting because I will say, and I know that you One Piece people are going to come for me, I'm sure I'll get there when I watch it, but at first glance, I'm sorry, the animation of One Piece doesn't do it for me. Especially when I was a kid. I was like, this looks like a children's show. Whereas Naruto, it was cool. It was like grungy. It was like interesting. It was like the art style was like, I know Oda's art style is amazing in its own way, and it's very unique. But for me back then, I had never seen quite anything like that. I mean, Dragon Ball Z, yes, but in a different way. Again,
it's pretty different.
Very, very, very different.
Yeah.
So like just this this ninja world and this like chakra and like the demon fox and just all this like, but the fact that he really made a conscious choice, and I think with the music as well, a very clever choice to turn this into something which as he said, he wasn't actually trying to make it a success in international context, but the fact that he picked an animator, he was like, you know what? Hey, just maybe when you're animating it, just give it a little bit of a Western tinge, you know what I mean? Which I think is really fascinating. And I think that is probably why it initially had more success in the West and is probably still being felt today. Also, of course, the world building. It's no One Piece, I know this, but like, you're right, that Zabuza section, the characters, just the character, Chunin Exams. I mean,
that was life-changing stuff.
That was life-changing stuff. It's going to sound ridiculous, but like I'm dead serious. Like Naruto was like a life-changing experience for me. It's like something I've in my adult life literally moved into this field. I'm literally studying it and do it, as a podcast and a YouTube channel because of Naruto. That's not an outrageous thing to say. It's dead true.
Do you ever think about like a sliding doors moment where you don't take that VCD and then you're just like super successful? You're like having heaps of money, like you're just CEO, absolutely like nailing it, and you're like,
finance bro.
I just think Naruto.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chunin exam, you're right. Talking about sort of grungy moments to really get you into a show. Like you're stuck in this dark forest. It just feels a little more lifelike, a little more real, it's kind of more immersive rather than this sort of bright out. I mean, they have that obviously in the Konoha and, bits and bobs, but once they get into the dark bits, it gets dark. Same with the Zabuza fight,
So dark. And like what I love, and I think Naruto does this incredibly well, and I'm sure, and there's something that Bleach doesn't do that well, I would say. Naruto, I think, does incredibly well the history within characters. So it's kind of like you have like, like the background of characters means a lot in Konoha. So, like we've got, the three, the three Sannin. We've got like, and it always repeats itself and it's like history repeating itself and that kind of, and I'm just going to start my ranting quickly, but like one of my favorite things that's ever done is in Shippuden, and it's Kakashi versus, spoiler, Obito. And it's like they go like hand-to-hand combat and it flashes between them as kids and them as adults. And I think that kind of like the way that with the series for that long, you get like emotional when like, spoiler alert, give it a second, like when Team 7 like reunite in Shippuden and they come in riding the like slug and the like the Sennin and that kind of like repeating, like I think that the way the story builds, it makes you feel like you really know the history of this place and it like means something. It's like nostalgic within watching. It's weird, but it's good. It's good storytelling in that way, I would say.
You're right. The world, it feels lived in because there are legends to them that they don't realize that they're echoing that kind of, that story is repeating and they can't kind of get out of that. And and him being sort of the chosen one, essentially, is only offset by the fact that he is such a strong character, who really cares about the people around him in a very different and connects with people in a very different way. I think there's a line in the first episode that he says, no one accepts him, but he understands the meaning of human suffering. And that's the show, right?
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, you guys did it all there. But yeah, it's funny watching it and kind of comparing moments as well. Like I remember being a Dragon Ball Z fan, kind of growing up. There was the moment that I always loved was when Vegeta goes Majin Buu, right? He cheats to get more power, essentially. It's a cheat code, and Sasuke does exactly the same thing. Spoiler: Sasuke does exactly the same thing with the curse mark, right?
Yes.
There's sort of these ideas of like, okay, you're gonna there's always power costs something, at some point. So and no one has that more so than Naruto, where he's literally has a demon fox. It's costing him every time he transforms or does anything. So I just love this show. It's so good, and it's so fun to just kind of revisit bits that you've kind of forgotten.
Absolutely.
All of this Sasori.
Oh yeah, the start of Shippuden. Yeah,
but like in Shippuden, it's just like I love that fight.
That's great.
And his kind of character
Chio
as
and
well. Yeah,
Sakura.
unreal. So yeah.
It's also fascinating, and I want to touch on what you just mentioned before about Naruto himself, because I know Luffy's like a really great protagonist, and Ichigo, I mean, a little bit less so, but like Naruto's interesting because I think the Chosen One thing feels to me that it was actually something that came much later in the story, because at the start, the whole point was he was nothing. And that's what made him such a compelling protagonist to me, especially in Naruto before Shippuden. Because at the beginning, obviously, one of the major points here, and you see this across lots and lots of shonen anime, but the concept of the genius versus the hard worker, right? And we see it all across Naruto. We see it, it's in One Piece, it's in Bleach, it's in pretty much any shonen you can possibly imagine, right? But that between Sasuke and Naruto, except Naruto, of course, has a great power that he can draw upon underneath everything. But as you say, it's at a great cost, right? So that makes him very fascinating to me. And you're right, the fact that he chooses empathy rather than hatred makes him such a fascinating character. And of course, such a great juxtaposition to Sasuke, who of course chooses hatred and vengeance, right? But he is on the surface gifted everything, but they're both the same. They're both traumatized child soldiers who are pushed into fighting wars at like 12. Like, I know some people are like, well, Naruto's not actually that heavy. It's like, when you think about it, it kind of is. Like,
But then again, so is Pokemon if you think about
Pokemon's nuts.
it. You get 10, you're like, see
Get
ya.
out there.
Like, I can't
Get out there, kid.
Go.
When I was your age,
go
fight some, like,
I was
capture
training
some-
with Rhydons.
go capture those monsters and fight them to the death.
yeah, like, okay.
It's pretty gnarly.
Most anime's turbo. Like,
Yes, a lot of anime turbo when you think about it just a little bit.
I wouldn't want to be isekai'd into fucking Konoha. Like, I think
No.
I'm dead immediately.
That's a pretty good ramen.
You can just go run a
there.
ramen joint, you know what I mean?
That's
like, just
true.
go on, like,
Yeah,
just
you
chill.
just get wiped out every 5 years.
Yeah.
Great.
Spoiler.
I think that, like, that whole hard work versus genius thing that comes in through Naruto, unfortunately, I think Naruto ends up with a message which is like, no, you can't beat genius, so don't even bother. Like, that, unfortunately,
okay, that's a huge problem.
seems to be the problem with the show in the
Is
end.
it-
I don't think it means to do that, but I think it did say
Yeah, it lost
that.
its way, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the core at the start, but then
Yes.
obviously, like, is he? Yeah, I guess he is a genius, but
he
yeah,
is the-
Basically Ninja Jesus, like, in the end,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
He's
Like,
just got power, really.
Yeah,
like,
well, he's
and then
also-
he learns to kind of hone that.
Yeah, but I mean, him and Sasuke are the reincarnation of the two sons of the Sage of the Six Paths, like literally Jesus brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like
I hate it when
so
anime goes all Jesus brothers on you in your life. So close.
Every
So,
time.
guys, before we go any further, I just want to circle back to our sponsor for this episode, Hobbyco. So Hobbyco is Australia's oldest hobby store, and you can find all kinds of hobbies, whether it's anime, model trains, Gundam, and if you want to grab your anime figures, they've got a huge range from all sorts of different brands. So if you want to get some of the best anime merchandise in Australia, well, head on down to Hobbyco, and hey, if you're overseas, you can order online too. So thanks again to Hobbyco for sponsoring this episode. And don't forget to use the code Naruto10 to get 10% off your online orders. And hey, they take their fun seriously. I think the difference between like Shippuden and Naruto is quite profound because Shippuden, I think on the whole, is a lot weaker when it gets to the war arc at the end. You know, I think that was a great idea that Kishimoto had, but like leading up to that, there is probably my favorite arc in the whole show would be the pain arc. I think the pain arc is extraordinary.
Over the Chunin Exams?
It's up there. It's close. Probably Chunin Exams followed by pain arc.
I think the pain arc's pretty.
Pain arc's pretty amazing. It feels to me like that's where you get all of the backstory that we've been working so hard towards. So a bit of spoilers here, obviously. But so Naruto obviously has been the outcast, literally the sad kid who everyone literally like avoids and taunts. Thanks, third Hokage, for being an absolute dog shit mentor.
I hate him because he has the demon that destroyed their village.
Yeah, but like the third could have been a little bit less of a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The third
I
really,
agree.
yeah. I wonder if in a rewatch his actions would make any sense at all.
Yeah,
No.
I don't think
Not
so.
really.
No, it's
No.
like, why are you so? Wow, okay,
Weren't
man.
they worried that he was gonna like lose it and then like go and try and access the power within him and
I
like
think they were worried
take
about
it?
that.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
nah, let's not worry. Let's not make him feel happy.
Yeah.
Let's just really
let's treat him
tempt
like
fate.
shit.
Like, let's hope he's really empathetic against all odds,
That's all.
which he is. So,
Hey, he's got
nice.
good genes. He'll
He's
be
got
fine.
good genes. He's all right.
His dad was a nice guy.
His
so
dad was
I
a
can't-
superstar. So yeah. But yes, I mean, I think the pain arc just leads all of that to the end where literally you've got the moment where like pain is destroyed Konoha completely. Kakashi's dead. Everyone's pretty much dead. And Sakura is yelling for Naruto to come and save them. And then he does arrive on the top of that frog. And you are just like, yes, dude, we've arrived here. After years and years and years of watching this show, we get this moment where he gets his hero stand. And then, of course, we have what is probably my favorite moment of the whole show is Hinata's stand against Pain,
Yeah.
where she has zero chance of winning. And then, of course, because that's my way of the ninja, it's one of the best moments.
But also in that moment against Pain, he's completely reinvented himself. He's not relying on the power of the demon fox. He's
Sage
not relying on
mode,
the thing that everyone hated him for.
Yes.
He has gone out, reinvented himself,
Yep.
Using sage mode
from
essentially.
his mentor, from Jiraiya.
So he has kind of recreated himself in this amazing way. But then, it gets to the point where it devolves back to where it always comes back to. And he's, he loses control. And that's the only way he knows kind of, that's all he can do, right?
That's it, until he meets his parents.
Emotion takes over, the sage mode's kind of all about control and,
Yes, and one
being
with nature
awareness and all
yes.
of this. And then he sort of, it just goes, well, when someone kills your whole family, your whole village, everyone guess what? Emotion is kind of a stronger, it's kind of interesting dichotomy with those two power sources that he ends up having.
Yeah.
The fox and the toad. It's sort of like it doesn't
so cool.
really, it doesn't mix until he makes it mix, you know.
So
I love that moment. The soundscape is incredible.
So good.
And I think in that fight at the end of it, to actually find Pain, he grabs one of Pain's rods and jabs himself in that, he literally inflicts pain on himself to find Pain.
Yeah.
And it's just another kind of self-sacrifice. He's always kind of willing to kind of put himself in front again and again. But that moment in particular is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I love the kind of evolution of Naruto's relationship with the nine-tailed demon fox, Kurama,
Kurama.
within him. I love how they go from, it's being something that's so kind of they don't, literally it's the most terrifying thing, the big eyes behind the cage, to being kind of his mate.
His bro, fist bumping.
I love it. And also every time, because I also love those scenes, that we used to get so hyped whenever it would go back and it would be like, oh, we're inside Naruto now. And what's going to happen? There's the gates. There's the, and often sometimes it was his parents would appear to him there.
Well, that
There's so
was
many beautiful scenes.
The first time that happened was
Pain.
against
Yeah.
Pain. Yeah. He stops him. He's literally walking
About to
towards it. He's
rip
about
the
to
thing down.
pull down the seal, and then Minato rocks up. I mean, it's just so good.
And we're so invested at this point as well. That's the thing. You really do become their relationships, everyone's relationships. You get even in the end, you're get Sasuke back, I guess. Love him as well. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
so.
one of my flaws, one of my criticisms. But I also think, and again, big spoiler here. I also think a big problem was the deaths in Naruto up until the Pain arc and after in the War arc were actually really hard hitting. Spoiler coming up right now. If you want to stop, you're at the gym. Now's your chance, or you're driving. Here's your chance. Jiraiya's death is obviously heart-wrenching, horrendous, so sad, beautiful, amazing bit of art as well. You know, when he's sinking down to the bottom and he's like, the tale of Jiraiya the
Why are you
Gallant.
I'm so upset.
And
Like,
then what should the sequel be called? Yes, the tale of Naruto Uzumaki. Oh, that's got a nice ring to it. You know, like it's just stunning. And then of course Naruto's finding out and he's eating the icy pole and it's dripping. And then it starts dripping more and he's weeping. Like, you know, this is all the pain arc. The pain arc's incredible. So, like, the problem is after that, when he goes into the war arc, which basically is just pure fan service, it's like, what if I brought everyone you've ever heard of and more back? But what if, like, no one dies apart from, spoiler, Neji? Like, that's it. No one else dies. Like, it's crazy. It's really annoying.
And if they do, they're already dead.
And then, of course, Pain, after killing the whole village, resurrects everybody. It's like, what happens if Kakashi had been killed? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
he probably could have died. Honestly, like, this is my OG sleepy teacher. Like
Everyone calm down here.
He's the blueprint. Like, this is why I'm the way I am. I still think it probably would have been stronger to the story if he died.
Yeah, I think so too.
I also think
He
Naruto
probably served his purpose up to that point, except then
Except
you're
for the
not getting
Obito
the
part,
Obito.
Yeah, I mean, he could have died after that.
Yeah.
Of that cool scene that I loved.
well, the big one is Guy should have died when he went after Madara.
Totally.
Like, I mean, like the fact that didn't happen, you're like, really?
Yeah,
like, come
that
on,
had
man.
to
Like,
happen.
come on, that had to happen.
That
Like,
had
that
to
was actually would have been a better ending for him.
I actually think that Shoji should have died way back in the Sasuke retrieval arc.
See, a lot of
So that is like that's like they kind of get there and you think he's dead. This is such a throwback to the Sasuke retrieval arc.
The end of
at
Naruto
the end
Part
of
1.
Naruto Part 1, which is iconic in its own way.
Of course, Kimaru, great
There's
character.
kind of like a bit in there where like you think that Shoji is dead, and it actually might be like a bit of a. It could have been like a really interesting moment because he's like it could have like a classmate of theirs who finally raises the stakes. And then he's not, and it's sort of a bait and switch. And I'm kind of like, oh, that could have. Not that I'm wishing death upon this like 12-year-old kid, but I'm like, I'm just like, from a narrative perspective, I think that like that could have been more interesting if Shoji did die. I think that would have raised the stakes a bit in Naruto. That's my hot take on Naruto.
I think it's a big
Part
problem.
1.
That's why that's what initially made the first part of the pain arc so extraordinary, was he was just killing everyone.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit, like, oh wow. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, but I've got some other magic power now where I can just revive everyone. I'm just gonna do that. And you're like, what? But I mean,
like
again, like we're talking about that first arc with Zabuza and Haku. Their death is absolutely heartbreaking and it's incredible. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm still a huge Naruto fan, and like I didn't mind the war arc, but like it's one of those things where you're like, it's what stopped it from becoming like an all-time. It's still in my all-time top 5. It's one of the most. It is the most influential anime on me ever. But it's a shame that it didn't quite stick its landing. Like, it was good enough, you know what I mean? Like, there's still good enough stuff, like right at the very end, especially in the anime, Naruto and Sasuke's fight, you know, in the Valley of the End. Obviously, Obito and Kakashi. But then it's like we get a Final Fantasy VIII sort of thing of, oh, by the way, it's a moon space person who's actually been pulling all the strings, lol. And you're like, sorry, what?
Hang on, don't go in on the moon space people. The moon space people hold the whole universe together. No, I agree, and I think that's something they kind of fixed in Boruto. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Here he
But
goes.
they don't bring a bunch of worthless pawns to the big fights.
Yeah,
They don't do it. They go like, okay, we're going and taking on the Otsutsuki or whatever they're called. Like there's no need for that. And I think that's what I remember from that war arc is he had a bunch of, you know, Earth style users just getting melted by Madara. And you're going like, well, this seems unnecessary, you know. Like there was a couple of cool moments, but you could have had those fights, you know, with the big players without kind of needing to kind of murder, you know, everyone and then bring them back. It just kind of felt worthless.
So I think that like I agree with you that Naruto kind of lost its way towards the end there, and it would have like in terms of how much anime I've consumed since then, it probably isn't in my top 5 anymore. It'd be in my top 10 still. It just has to be. Like it just actually has to be because it means so much to me, and it kind of started it all. But the thing it did kick off was like all of the tropes that I love, all of the things that I love and love from anime and want from anime still can be traced back to Naruto.
Yeah, 100%.
As I said, sleepy teacher. Obviously the main one of Naruto. We've got
Training arcs,
exam arcs. We've got now Naruto didn't invent this stuff. Like just so we know, don't come from me. I know I
Yes.
know.
Yu Yu Hakusho, we know.
You guys are so
Dragon
defensive.
Ball.
We know.
We know.
We know the show. We have watched more than Naruto, but I do think that it presented it in such a way that meant so much to me. It does it very, very well, and those tropes are done incredibly well in that show, and they make me just like yearn for that, yearning for the exam arcs all the time because of Naruto, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Chunin exam arc in particular was just unreal.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
One thing I will say, and we're talking about the big three, so there's actually just like nothing that scratches the itch, but obviously the women or the female characters in Naruto are not super well fleshed out. That's like one criticism of it. Weird. But like I wouldn't say they're that strong in any of the like big three. Maybe One Piece, again, not across that, but I think apparently there is a lot more as you get into it. But that's one thing I will say is really hard with Naruto to get across. But yeah.
It's true. It's true. Unfortunately, I mean, everyone, Sakura just gets written so badly. It's such a shame. It's such a damn shame because she had potential to be a really cool character.
Yeah, she did. That was kind of upsetting when you're watching it, kind of going like, wow, this is such a waste.
Yeah.
It is such a waste of a character. They just really gave her, she just became the woe is me kind of damsel a lot of the time. I mean, she had her moments, but like, and they ended up developing her power and stuff like that. But
they're not.
They really dangled it at Shippuden,
Yes,
right?
they
And then
did.
it started.
That was the
and then
frustration. The
when
Sasori
she
fight, I
punches
loved
down
it.
into the even that like the bell redo, which I love. Like when I'm just like, yeah, she's gonna be like Tsunade, like she's gonna be so cool. And then nah.
Like lol jokes, and also she's still obsessed with Sasuke, even though she tries to kill her explicitly. Like you're like, what?
Like she is strong, we know that, but it's like it's just kind of and like what happened there?
Well, I saw something on Reddit recently where there was remember during the pain arc, it's either in the opening or the ending of the like the opening or ending theme, where there's a sequence where Conan is fighting Ino, Hinata, and Sakura, and everyone was like, this would be cool.
Yeah, this would be good.
This would be cool. It's not there. Never happened. It's not in the manga either. And everyone was like, emblematic of Naruto. You know what I mean? Like the girls having a really cool fight, and it never happened. It was a tease. Shame.
It's a shame.
The big problem that Naruto had, outside of all the issues that I've talked about with the lack of deaths at the end, but it's the power scaling. The power scaling got out of control. Basically, as soon as Itachi used Susanoo, it was out of control. It was out of control. It turned into a fucking mech and like an alien show. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, who's going to throw a kunai at Madara? He's like, you kidding me, dude? Like, whereas like against Zabuza in the early days, and like when you remember that Kakashi versus Zabuza, and they're doing the water dragons, it takes them like 14 minutes to use the hand seals.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, like sick. And I get it, but like I get the rule of cool, and like, we don't want to spend that long. But I kind of like that it took that much effort to create a water dragon, because then it was just Madara's like, well, why don't I just use like 4,000 clones all with Susanoo and I'm summoning a fucking meteor? You're just like, I mean, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then don't even get me started on the Sharingan powers of like, I can rewrite the time and history itself. You're like, I can control space and time. You're like, fucking hell, man. Like, what are we doing here, dude? Like, and also it's like, remember when it was like, oh, the Sharingan and the Byakugan, they're very similar. I was like, Byakugan's the lamest thing ever. Does one thing, whereas the Sharingan's like, I can literally erase and turn history and past into whatever I want it to be. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it was so frustrating though, Byakugan, because I was like,
It was so cool.
I was like, that's gonna have a come up.
Yeah.
That's gonna have a come up. It's gonna unlock something.
gonna
Like
be
we're gonna
cool.
get a kind of, Neji was gonna be that kind of guy, or Hinata, and they were like, yeah, no, it just doesn't do it. It's just a worse Sharingan.
Yeah, it's just one minor part of that the Sharingan pretty much also does as well.
Yeah,
and none of the cool shit.
But they've got kind of cooler eyes,
Yeah.
and they'll poke you.
They'll poke you
And you won't be able to
pressure
use your
points.
jutsus. No meteors for you.
All right. Anyway, so it sounds like we're shitting on it. We love this more than anything. That's why we're so passionate about it.
Do you think they could have elongated and just kept people kind of at a smaller scale and kind of kept the plot and made it more of a political drama
Would have loved that.
with powers? I think that's probably...
That would have been so good.
Yes, that's the big issue I have, yeah. All right, guys. So now I want to talk about our favorite fights, our favorite characters, our favorite bits of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. Because, hey, we've come this far, and as mega fans, we got to do it.
Yeah, got to do it.
Our favorite moments of Naruto. I want to start with our favorite fights. This is from both series. Favorite fights. Favorite fight. Full stop. You don't get multiple. You get one.
One.
Easy. It's Rock Lee versus Gaara.
And it's mine too.
It just has to be. If there's only one, like I can't. Yeah. There's
It's
like
best.
again, just completely altered the brain chemistry. Like if my brain chemistry.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, I'll never forget seeing that as a kid. I'll never forget watching that fight and being like, oh my God, what is this? Like when he drops those weights.
Yeah, that was dope.
It's one of the most, it's still to this day one of the most iconic anime moments etched into my brain. It'll like never leave my brain. I could be Alzheimer's ridden on my deathbed and that will be the image still in my brain.
Look,
I hope that doesn't happen, obviously.
Kakashi and Obito, I do really love that sequence. Though.
It's great.
And because it takes it back. I think I was saying, like, it kind of works, it like goes back to the basics. They're like, do you want to do hand in hand, like
It's sick.
hand to hand, Taijutsu, yes.
Okay. Speaking of Taijutsu, maybe my favorite fight is Guy versus Madara.
Yes,
When he goes night guy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
Damn it.
That's
How
up
about
there. That's up there. I really like. Oh, I've got a couple, but you said one. I like Sasuke Danzo.
Oh, it's good.
Love
it's good.
that fight.
It's
Because
very good.
It's Sasuke kind of being the, kind of being
The
like,
bad guy.
hey, look, I'm the bad guy. I've got this power. I am the one from this family now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am the guy. And Danzo is like, how about your whole family's dead eyes in my, like I've basically stolen your legacy.
Yeah.
And your family and all of this. And he's kind of the shadow, bad guy of Konoha. And
absolutely.
it's just a good fight.
It is,
Because Sasuke's trying to figure out what the fuck is happening with this kind of him being able to kind of rewrite these moments.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it's just kind of one of those iconic fights where I was like, yeah, they're fighting dirty here.
Yep.
It's a filthy fight, and I like it when they're down in the weeds like that. It's more of that trick.
Yep.
I think the best jutsus and characters have kind of a trick to them, and rather than just overpowering using kind of a spirit bomb, which is a lot of the fights.
At the
Let's
end,
face it,
yeah.
like even releasing the 8 gates and stuff like that. It's like, okay, yeah, if I kill myself, I have unlimited power.
Yeah. I like that. I like it's at a cost.
Yeah,
And they introduced it so early. You know what I mean? They introduced it like Rock Lee.
They do.
5 gates early on. And then at the end of the show, we get the 8. And we're like, hell yeah, dude. Hell yes. Also, they did
Shikimaru against
Hidan.
it's my favorite. I think that is my
it's
absolute
good.
favorite. He is my favorite character.
Shikimaru.
Yeah.
So too.
All right, well, moving on
I
to that.
just look. There's the emotional side of it, and the emotional side of it for side characters. For like guys that are going to be mince in the meat in the mincer essentially later on. They have this really impactful battle where someone actually dies.
Yes,
It's
yes.
a real death. He doesn't get brought
big
back,
one.
and he
Asuma, yeah.
means so much to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that he beats him with intellect, and it's and using that person's trick, which seems unbeatable, immortality, basically, against him. I just think it's kind of the cleverest and best written fight.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It's true. So
Maybe
your favorite
him
character
up against his wife, which I like as well. From
That's
the
just a
Chunin
bit.
Exams.
That's just a bit hot. you
They're
know?
blooded.
When you know what's coming later, it's just a bit like cute. Yeah.
So Shikamaru is your favorite character.
He is. Yeah. He
Okay,
is.
I like it. My favorite character is Guy Sensei.
Just ultimate positivity.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. I reckon he's so awesome. He's such a big dum-dum. Rock Lee was great until they did him dirty and Shippuden and just like ignored him and just gave everything to Guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I guess it's Guy then, because it would have been Rock Lee.
Guy is, yeah. Because they're not related, right?
No.
And it's just kind of this, like, if there were a few more characters like Rock who wore, the green and everything, you'd be like, oh, he's in a cult. Like, he's in a cult. He's trying to look like his
mentor,
his
yeah.
mentor. And I'd be like, this is weird. But like the eternal youth thing, this, like, it almost doesn't fit in the world.
Yeah,
But I think
it's
that's
true.
kind of why it's so fun for a lot of people.
It is
right?
great. The other one is also closely followed by Minato. I think his power is so cool.
Because
Yellow Flash.
Rock
That's
as
sick.
well. Rock and Guy are
Minato was.
technically they are what Naruto is without the power, right?
Yeah.
Like they are just like I will, hard work beats genius.
Yep.
But you know, and essentially he has a moment where he almost does.
He does. And that's one of the most hype moment of them all for me.
Yeah.
Is when, you know, you get a couple of moments there when it's like you get the flashback and Kakashi's father, the White Fang, goes, like, he's like, that guy's pathetic. And he's like, hey, man, hold on. I think that guy's going to be stronger than you one day. He's like, lol. He's like, Dad, you were right. And then, of course, Madara, when he says the ultimate, like, I, Madara, declare you the strongest. You're just like, oh, it's
pretty
God
cool.
damn it, man. It's so good, bro.
Respect.
Charlie.
Kiba.
Kiba's your...
No, sorry.
Kiba!
Got ya.
Yeah.
Got you good.
Jaws
not
off the floor.
Everyone's favorite character. I feel like he's.
I think that's the first person I ever at Halloween like dressed up as Kiba.
Kiba, really?
I think so.
got a bunch of
I think
Kiba
it's just
stands.
You
because
have a
I
dog with you?
No, I just had like you know, a
Very,
jacket with a fur, and I was like, that'll do.
That'll
We
do.
got a headband,
Get some paint on,
bit of
yeah.
paint.
I feel
Easy.
for him. I feel like that character like just was too similar to Naruto in personality.
Again, got done dirty as
Yeah,
well.
Everyone
same.
was like, well, don't worry about it.
We all know
Like,
Chino's got done the dirtiest of anyone, especially when you watch Boruto, and you're like, why did they just clown on this guy who had one of the weirdest but like coolest, most OP powers
Shino,
ever?
absolutely.
Such a cool
No,
power.
what about
and in
the
Boruto,
bugs?
he is trolled,
Dude,
man. It is so funny.
trolled.
He just becomes like
a
the
joke.
biggest wet blanket.
totally.
It's like, oh no,
Oh,
not
such a
me.
dum dum, and it's like, don't you like have bugs that can like eat people from the inside, like at your command?
He was
at all
cold.
times?
He was cold blooded.
He was so cold. He was cool in the early days, man. Chunin Exams, Shino.
He was so
What
good.
happened to you, man?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, they absolutely did him dirty. But oh God, I was trying to think of before I said Kiba, I was trying to think of the actual most underutilized character in the history of Naruto, but I forgot her name. Throws the Shuriken. What's her name?
Oh,
Tamari?
10.
Tenten.
Tenten.
Now that is a character who is truly clowned upon.
So
I'm just like,
clowned.
are you okay,
In
babe?
Boruto.
Like, what is she
In
doing?
In Boruto,
Get out of the way.
she runs a weapons store in Boruto.
Honestly,
Just
smart.
nerfed.
Girl boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Ten
Think
girl boss.
laterally. Think
Take
laterally.
girl boss.
But I will say that I've been looking at the poster behind Sam's head, and I'm just like looking. I'm trying not to say just every character I had a crush on because that'd be too obvious. But
Kakashi.
I actually think Kakashi, obviously, love him, whatever. Not my favorite. I love Hashirama.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love
Okay, you know
him.
what? That's a zag, and I like it. Okay.
Love
Why?
him.
He is awesome.
He just gives the best energy, and he's cool in his fighting and
He's also
everything.
the most powerful man ever
Yeah,
lived. Yeah.
love that. I also love.
Kind of easy to be chill when.
But I love, again, we're talking about the history of the shows, and I've obviously, when we have like Naruto and Sasuke fighting each other, you have like the stone of Hashirama and Madara, and that kind of like his legacy is like really there. I also love that he's like Tsunade's granddad, and he's
Yeah.
like, "What's up?" Like,
Yes.
he seems like a nice guy.
Definitely, and I will say a couple of things here. But it's going to sound, again, very critical, but also the timelines don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why is the grandfather of Tsunade the founder of, like, the god of Shinobi, like, the founder of ninja? It's like, that's not that long ago. It's like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It should be hundreds of years. You know what I mean? Like, it's,
Yeah.
anyway, it's a criticism.
You don't want
I've
to
always had.
dilute those bloodlines too much. They won't have any power left.
But it's too
You
short.
got to bring
Yeah.
more aliens in.
There are so many good characters though, because obviously I'm now like, obviously Jiraiya has it like in
Oh,
my.
God,
it's
man.
My,
It's close,
I
it's
love
close.
Jiraiya so much, but I also Gaara has the best character development of all
Yeah,
of them. But I'm gonna say
true.
who's got the coolest arc. I would say Gaara.
Yep.
So I don't know, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with
Hashirama.
Hashirama.
Can
Wow.
I throw
Love
out
him.
your worst, your like
My
your
least favorite character?
well, the character you were kind of most hyped for when they came in,
Oh, Shino, for sure.
and then they dropped off.
Yeah, Shino, for sure. It got done totally dirty.
The bug
No,
man.
it's Sai. Like, there's no
It's
other
Sai.
answer.
It's
Like,
Sai.
it has to.
I was like,
like
he
Yeah.
when he
Like, what
came
are you
in, I was
doing?
like, dope. This is gonna be sick, and he was just awful.
Clowned upon, yeah.
It was just a nothing character.
Yeah.
I would
Yamato as
rather
well.
10-10 in the fucking team.
Yeah.
Like,
Yamato got pretty clowned on too.
Yeah.
He was like,
Yeah.
he was like basically like reborn Hashirama with the wood jutsu. And then it was just like, and he's gone. You're like,
yeah.
oh, really? Like, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
The good characters outweigh the bad. I would
Yes,
say.
massively, massively, massively.
Yeah.
I still, that's the thing. The characters are the thing that keeps me going with it. Like the world building and the story, great. But the characters are really everything. But again, I really
Oh my God, we
wish.
didn't say Itachi for best character.
Oh,
That's a
it's
huge
such
one.
a good
Sorry.
call.
Who's your favorite villain?
Pain. Or Zabuza.
I love Zabuza. I reckon it's a Richimaru.
Oh, it's a good call. He's so creepy.
Yeah. And we have talked
So
about
creepy.
him in the past getting absolutely no comeuppance, which is very funny.
At their wedding?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah. We've gone into this one.
You can't be doing that.
I'm like, what?
Well, I think Kabuto is the Kabuto, whatever,
Yep.
however you
Yeah,
say
yep.
his name. He was always worse to me than Orochimaru.
Yeah, he
Like
sucked.
he
I
was
hated
this
him.
slimy. He had that real like working in the shadows behind that, kind of playing every side off against
Mm-hmm.
each other, stealing people's bodies, jutsus, kind of.
Was a cool reveal though, wasn't it? In
That
Chunin
was a
Exams.
It was
good
dope.
reveal.
Yeah.
It was
a good
so
reveal.
good.
They were great villains. Like I really enjoyed that
Killer
whole arc.
villains.
Yeah.
Killer villains. Like I said, after painting it all, Madara was just too power scaled. It was crazy. And then again, they got aliens from the moon. But
Hey,
anyway, so
I like me some aliens.
this has been an absolutely awesome chat. I've loved this because, again, we're covering something that we all love so dearly. And, like, yes, of course, we're criticizing it, but it comes from a place of love. And, like I say, one of the most important, probably actually, I'd argue, the most important piece of media that I've ever seen in my life. So that's where Naruto sits for me. Guys, this has been so much fun talking about the GOAT, what I might even describe as the undisputed king of anime in my books. Not without its flaws, but my God, was it an important piece of media for me and for so many, both of you, and for so many others, of course. And like I say, it's still going strong. Number 1 on Netflix
Still
in the
going
West.
strong. I'm proud. Like
Yeah.
that's sick.
So I think, fun fact, I think Doraemon is number 1 in Asia.
Yeah.
Netflix.
Make Doraemon's
Which also makes a lot of
huge.
sense. Funny enough, Doraemon, second highest selling manga of all time after One
Whoa.
Piece. Yeah. And then, again, we do this every time. Golgo 13,
Golgo 13 is killing it.
number 3, Case Closed, Detective Conan, then Dragon Ball, then, of course, Naruto. So that's the order. But anyway, Golgo 13, why isn't there a big anime? Anyway, who cares? Hey, thank you guys so much. Al, always a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. It's been fantastic.
Thank you for having me on. And if you disagree with anything that I've said today, come at me.
Charlie, thank you. And hey, thank you all for watching. If you like what we're doing, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and of course, hopefully you're watching us on YouTube. But if you're listening on the podcast platforms, you can go give us a review. 5 stars on Spotify really helps, and or writing one on Apple also makes a big difference. And if you really like what we're doing, you can find us over on Patreon, which really does make a massive difference. We have early releases, we have behind the scenes footage, and also special episodes.
This week's Patreon, we are watching Boruto. We're doing a watch along. So it is pretty fun.
Yep, first part of Boruto. We did it a little while ago after Al's appearance, and we actually went and watched a whole bunch of it. So you can go over there and have a look at our thoughts on early stage Boruto. Spoiler alert.
Didn't like it.
Well, hey, we're in this for the long haul. We're in this for the long haul. You know what I mean? It's early days. It's early days. And once again, just before we go, another huge thank you to Hobbyco for sponsoring this episode. And make sure you go and use the code Naruto10 to get your 10% off your online orders at Hobbyco. Anyway, hey, thank you all so much, and we'll catch you all next time. All the best.